afternoon, Heal Your Autism fans. This is Mark and Michelle, episode 8, and we are back.
Whoa, I can't find where I am.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a delay. All right, episode 8. Anyway, we're going to talk today about how Michelle gets her life back. So I've just got a few
haven't
questions.
seen the questions. It's all off the cuff.
Well, she's going to be practicing her improv skills as she answers the questions. So what we'll do, and the reason we're doing this, so that everybody knows, is for those of you mothers and other caregivers of autistic loved ones who are working on recovering your autistic loved ones, this is what you can look forward to. She's going to give examples of how her life came back to her, things that she was able to do that she wasn't able to do before, and that kind of thing. This will give you an idea of what your life can be as you recover your loved one from autism. But anyway, I've just got a few questions for her, and we'll get started. First question: what was the one thing during my recovery from Asperger's syndrome that helped you free yourself from taking care of me? Or if there was more than one thing, that's fine too.
Do you mean something that happened to you that freed me from?
Yes, that. In other words, what thing during my recovery helped free up more of your time? Was there one change in my behavior, one change in my thinking, that kind of thing?
Maybe I should have looked at the questions.
Okay. That's all right. Take a minute. We got nothing but time.
Nothing but time.
That's no pressure.
What is he eating?
I don't know. We probably need to get him out of here. It's probably electric. It is. Come here.
I am thinking that I was still having to help you. Show them what you're doing.
I'm taking these little guys out because they're eating the electrical cords. Sorry, guys. Be just a bit.
I would say when Mark started being able to do his own relationships, that was the biggest. When you started being able to figure out your relationships, like at work and stuff.
So in other words, okay. So
that was very freeing for me because you weren't coming home obsessively trying to figure out what was happening with these people.
Right. In other words, I think what you're saying is being able to read people and then interact with them correctly.
That was really a big thing because...
a big burden off your shoulders.
A big burden because we were often discussing what this person had done and why would they do that,
and why would people treat me this way, and why were people still picking on me?
Why didn't people understand where I was coming from, and you?
So my loss of mind blindness probably helped in that as well, because then I could go, well, you know what, people have other motives besides what I think they have.
Yeah, I would start coming home to a quiet house, or you would come home from work and you wouldn't have all of that baggage attached to yourself.
True.
And that was very noticeable change.
I wouldn't be trailing confusing confusion. I wouldn't be trailing anger. Wouldn't
rage,
be trailing frustration.
Rage.
Yeah, good point. And so those, when those went away, what you're saying is that really freed you up.
Freed me, yeah.
I won't ask you to quantify how much time. I don't think that's relevant, except for it probably gave you a lot more time than anything else during my recovery. So.
And then the other thing is you started chipping in around the house without me asking.
Yeah, that came after the medical media detox, I think, more than anything. Because you remember, even with the GAPS diet, if you asked me to do something, I'd still be a little bit resentful. I'd do it, no problem. But
I always had to feel your resentment.
Exactly. And I never understood why I had that. But I think the medical medium's detox helped that considerably. because now it's not. In fact, I don't even ask her what she needs done. I just go do it,
Right, and that's new.
and then I tell her, "Hey, I've done
I
that."
did this and this and this and this. Okay.
And oddly enough, I now do it because I know it's freeing up time. She winds up teaching when she comes home too, sometimes 30 minutes after she gets here. So she needs the house clean and ready for students and their parents. And so I just do that, and I tell her, "Hey, I've done this, 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 and this," and I do that purposely to free up her time. That way, she can eat before she has to teach.
We've become partners. That's pretty cool.
Well, exactly. I think that's the biggest thing. We become partners instead. It's a balanced relationship.
Yes.
Instead of
Yes.
it's balanced instead of and me being down here weighing her down.
Mhm.
You know. So all right,
That was a good question.
that was a good question. Probably.
But
should
in
have looked-
relationships was the biggest thing.
Yeah. Me being
And it
able to
might have been the, what's that diagnosed? PNOS, whatever is that?
PDD-NOS,
That thing right there.
or you mean
Chilled out a
obsessive?
bunch.
No, you mean the obsessive compulsive
Okay, that
personality
too.
disorder.
Yeah.
I never had
Okay.
PDD-NOS.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Anyway, okay, here you go. Reclaiming your own time for yourself was gradual. But was there a point when you said, "Oh, now I can finally move on"?
Yes. That's when I started improv. I could feel that you were going in the direction of me not needing to take care of you so much.
And you not needing
And
to
that
be.
was 2015. In January
That was
I
January
started
2015.
that. See, we had started that diet in 2013.
So a year and a half later.
A year and a half later is when
Mhm.
I started feeling like, okay, I can do some things here.
Mhm. Mhm. Well, and for improv, for any of those you don't know, is improvisational acting. And so she started that in January of 2015.
And that actually helped me wake myself back up. I had buried myself very, very deeply.
She had buried her personality.
Yeah, to be able to be with him.
Mm-hmm. Because about the only way to do that is to just be quiet all the time.
In fact, he got angry with me for not sharing like he was expecting me to when he started coming out of it. And I said, "But you've never wanted me to share
Yeah,
before."
we did. We had a few arguments about that.
Yeah.
That's true.
And I said, "I can't just turn it right back on. It's been off for 20 years."
Yeah, that's true. I was
It was
wanting
traumatic.
to develop a deeper relationship with her as I was coming out of the Asperger's
And I had
syndrome.
shut down.
Right, and well, she had to because that was the only way to live with me.
Yes.
And so as I was coming out of it, I was like, "Look, you need to tell me these. I want to hear about these things. I want to know more." Right.
Yeah.
Well, that was unusual to her. That I think it kind of annoyed her and pissed her off a little bit and
Yes.
freaked her out.
Well, because I had 20 years of silence space in my house.
Yes.
I would say emotional silent space,
Mm-hmm.
which was very important to me. That was part of the good side of him being an Aspie. I had that space, and then all of a sudden he was encroaching on me.
Emotionally encroaching.
Emotionally
I was encroaching on her emotional space,
Yes.
and because I was wanting to know more about it, I was wanting to know the details. I was wanting to get in there and root around and figure it all out. And we actually had a few arguments about her being a very private person and not sharing information that I could tell she was keeping from me. She was only doing it because she had a habit of doing it with others, not just
Right.
me. But so that was a big thing for her because and that's the thing. The whole thing about autism is that it didn't allow me to have normal relationships. And that's what society is based on, relationships. And good ones, bad ones, dysfunctional, whatever, functional. But now we had a dysfunctional relationship because of my autism. Now we have a very functional one because I don't have the autism.
But the improv is what helped me wake myself back up. It was a pretty interesting process. It was difficult at times, and I'm on the other side of it now, and I'm having a blast. So,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
next question.
Next question. All right. Your own health issues kept you from living the way you wanted to. Would you outline what those health issues were and how far you recovered from them?
All right. So when I was 18, I was diagnosed with Lyme. No, I got sick. I was almost 20 when I was diagnosed with Lyme. So I went on 3 years of antibiotics, and I didn't really feel much different after. I did, but things kept going downhill as I got older. I started having muscle issues, and then I had frozen shoulders, and migraines started in my 30s. I had intense pain in my colon that was double me over, and all the emotional traumas from living with Mark made it even worse. It just kept going downhill, and I finally gave up on Western medicine because no one could help me, and they told me I was just going to be the way I was and wouldn't ever be able to do the things I wanted to do. So I was like, okay, I'll find another way. And so I found a chiropractor. I did some acupuncture. I did some Chinese herbs. I've been doing diets since 97, probably.
Yeah.
95 maybe. So I was already having digestive issues. And what was the question?
Question was your health issues. Outline what they are and how far you've recovered.
Okay, so
you've outlined the health
I've
issues.
outlined the health. It just got worse and worse. And we did the GAPS diet, which helped digestive issues, but other things popped up, like having hives and outbreaks that felt like shingles, but no one thought it was shingles. And so the GAPS, I had to modify it. I had to pretty much stop eating the bone broth, and
because that was high histamine for her.
I had started having high histamine issues. And we found the medical medium diet, and I cannot believe that this week I worked 5 days at school and taught my 4 nights, and I made it through. In the past, I would have to quit a job after a year because I felt so bad.
She's probably worked about 50 hours this week.
Probably, and I slept like 12 hours last night. Yay. Which is, I just can't believe I worked 5 days at school this week. I couldn't have done that even 3 weeks ago. I couldn't have done that. So this detox that we're going through, which we were sick again last weekend, which is why we didn't do this. This detox is worth it.
Yeah, it really is.
I can't believe how much better I'm feeling.
I've been a professional cook almost all my life, and I never realized how much raw food is so helpful. And while we eat some cooked food, for instance, pizza, that kind of thing, most of the stuff we eat is raw. And so I'll cook a pizza crust, but our ingredients on top are raw. Let's see. I made some potato salad last night. The potatoes are cooked, but all the other things in there are raw. And it turned out really excellently, following some of the medical mediums recipes, and just decided, you know what, since I'm a creative cook, I'll just throw all this together. It wound up great. It's really good. In fact, I can post a recipe for it later on.
So did I answer your question?
No, let's go on. You answered that question.
Okay.
That was good.
All right.
Between the GAPS diet and the medical mediums detox, which has helped the most for you?
Well, I would have to say the medical medium because I actually feel good. The GAPS diet, I did not feel good.
Even doing it?
Even doing it. I didn't feel good.
Well, and the histamine issues popped up for you in summer 2014,
I think.
Okay. Well, and then they got pretty bad in, was it summer 2016?
16.
Mm-hmm. And you did the honey and butter.
Yeah.
And that, while it helped some, it didn't help enough.
No.
And the honey and butter was a recommendation in the GAPS book on dealing with adrenal fatigue. And so while it helped a little bit, the fat and the honey.
Yeah, I think it was actually the honey that helped.
It was the honey more than it was the butter. Yeah.
Knowing what I know now.
Exactly. And so finding the medical mediums diet, coming across that in January of this year, she's been on that. Adrenal fatigue is being taken care of. Sleep is being taken care of.
Yep.
Fatigue.
I went a whole month in 2016 hardly sleeping at all.
Yep.
A whole month.
Mm-hmm. And so her health is dramatically improved in 4.5 months.
Yes.
Dramatically improved. So, I mean, mine has gotten better too. I have energy now, but that was the big link for her, was getting her adrenals and energy and raw food. And it's amazing that raw food does this.
I've eaten so many oranges this week. He says if you're craving something, eat it. Doesn't matter what else you have. Your body wants it. So one day I had 3.5 pounds of oranges.
Yeah, well, that's a
Seriously.
lot of vitamin C. So,
And it's really made me feel really good this week.
so medical medium was the
It
link
was-
in the chain, missing link for you.
It was totally the thing.
Well, let's move on to the next question. What hobbies or occupations have you been able to do now that you've regained a measure of good health?
Well, I feel like I'm just now getting that good health. I've just done my things anyway.
Yeah, you've always been that way. Even with Lyme disease, she went to college and made straight A's anyway, or almost straight A's. So, yeah.
I just have this discipline gene.
Yeah, that's it. And that's really helped her. She's an much more so even than me, and I'm pretty disciplined. But she's got that, and that's always carried her through, no matter what. Sick as a dog, and she's still carrying on.
So, but I do the improv. I play all the music stuff. This week I played ukulele with some of the kids at school, and we sang, and it was a blast. And so
She does some gardening.
yeah,
Yep.
some gardening.
Anything else?
Well, I just want to say it's really great to have Mark who he is now, and you can have this too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we don't know if it works for everyone.
But give it a try.
Yeah.
I mean, you'll find something that works for you, whether it's this, whether it's the GAPS, whether it's medical medium, whether it's ACC, whatever.
There's lots of things.
There are.
Just try.
Exactly. Just get out there and do something about it. If you're upset with it and frustrated, get out there and fix it for yourself. Right? All right. Anything else?
Nope.
Nope. All right. Have a good night, guys. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
See you next week. That was excellent.